Today we are going to compare the brand new F1 Strike V2 against the 2022 Duotone unit. So we have the 5.5 meter Strike V2 and the 6.5 meter Duotone unit. For comparison, we also have the 7 meter Strike CWC, which is closer in size to the unit that we have. On a small side note, this is one of the new colors for the CWC. So the standard Strike has gone through a second iteration, whereas the CWC range this year is the same design as previous years, just with new colors. So back to the comparison. The 5.5 meter Strike V2 has a span of 3.5 meters and a max chord of just over 2 meters. The 6.5 meter Duotone unit has a span of around 3.93 meters and a max chord of 2.3 meters. And finally, for comparison to the 6.5 meter unit, the 7 meter Strike CWC has a span of 4 meters and a max chord of 2.3 meters as well. So not a huge difference in span or max chord from the Duotone unit to the 7 meter Strike CWC, despite being half a meter square less in area. So the first main difference between the wings is the windows. The unit has windows and the Strike does not. This is very much a personal preference thing, and for me, the benefits of a window are outweighed by the pack-up procedure at the end of the day, just because you need to make sure the windows are dry and that they don't get creased when you're folding and packing up the wing. In saying that, the unit's windows are sized appropriately so they don't get in the way too much when rolling up the wing. And for a lot of people, the extra visibility is enough to outweigh this little downside. So the most obvious difference between the two wings is the rigid handles on the unit versus the soft handles on the Strike. It's another one of those personal preference things, but the rigid handles are really an experience. Alongside the insane canopy tension and the leech tension of the unit, the rigid handles play a big role in making the unit feel incredibly rigid. Maneuvering this wing is so direct, and it gives the rider full drive over the wing, where soft handles generally have some slack that needs to be taken up before turning one way or another. The on-water feel with the rigid handles is really awesome. The negatives of the handles for me were that they were really grippy, so it didn't feel intuitive to slide my hands to adjust my grip fore and aft. But the oval shape of the handles did help you feel really locked in when holding the wing. The other problem I faced with the rigid handles was the location of the handles. It just wasn't quite right for me. This is another very personal thing, I think. When gripping the front handle, I tend to hold further back from the center of the handle. But with the rigid handles, I was basically holding close to the upright, and sometimes actually holding, right up against the upright of the rigid handle. Again, this is a personal thing, so I'd recommend trying the unit out if you have the opportunity before purchasing. So, what are the key characteristics of these wings, and what wing is best suited for you? So, after riding both wings for a couple of weeks, I see the unit more as a high-performance race wing. The design decisions have compromised a little bit on easy packing up and simplicity for a higher end performance. The unit climbs upwind and has seemingly unlimited sheeting power when going upwind. It takes a lot of pulling to oversheet this wing, which means you can climb high. I see this as great for racing when the course features upwind legs. The rigid handles also mean you can quickly manipulate the wing during maneuvers. Definitely something that helps during short course racing. The weight of the unit is one of the drawbacks to this wing, but Duotone do have a D-Lab version that should be showing up in Australia soon, which may be a little bit more comparable to the V2 Strike in terms of weight. The extra weight of the standard Duotone unit means that the wing tends to drop a little when flagging out, so you have to be really intentional with what angle you ride down waves to ensure enough wind is in the wing to counteract the weight. In contrast to this, the Strike V2 seems to be the ultimate surf and downwind slalom wing. Don't get me wrong, the Strike V2 goes upwind. It just doesn't feature the same oversheeting ability as the unit. It is a comfortable upwind ride where you find the wing's natural position and let it do the work for you to get upwind. The Strike V2 is incredibly light and flags out in a ridiculously stable position, so it's the perfect surf wing. I also mentioned downwind slalom because the V2 is quick downwind. I believe the little bit of extra draft over the unit has made this wing a powerhouse in reaching and downwind. I hit 49 kilometers an hour on an 840 square centimeter foil the other day using this exact 5.5 meter V2 Strike. It is quick. I also think the Strike is an easier wing to do long sessions on without a harness. The softer handles and the slightly less rigid structure, which breathes a little bit more than the unit, so you won't have your arms getting pulled off in gusty or unstable conditions. Ideal for those of us wanting to put in some big 3 to 4 hour sessions to make the most of our weekends. So the Strike V2 is more expensive than the standard Duotone unit. Comparing the price of a 5 meter V2 to a 5 meter unit, the V2 Strike is 1,760 Australian dollars, and the unit, once you add a leash, comes in at around 1,500 Australian dollars. Although it may be more fair to compare the Strike V2 to the D-Lab variant of the unit, which I'm yet to see a price for. So to summarize the comparison, the unit is a stiff, high-performance wing suitable for more intermediate to advanced riders, especially in a racing context that involves upwind legs. It is cheaper, but also heavier than the Strike V2. The Strike V2 is an all-rounder that is a very comfortable ride. It is suitable for all levels of riders and caters really well for those wanting to get out in some swell and waves. It doesn't have the same super high-end upwind ability like the unit, but it is a lighter and more stable wing. For anyone looking to get into the sport with new gear, the Strike V2 is the easier wing to learn on out of the two. For those looking to upgrade, you'll find major performance improvements over wings from previous years with either of these wings. So, if you want to know more about these wings, leave your comments below, and to get your hands on either one of these awesome wings, head to the OTB Marine web store. The link is in the description.